Hello and welcome to another episode of Morgan's Pop Talks, breaking down the latest in reality TV and pop culture. So much to discuss today. Taylor Swift wedding updates, the Casa Amor twist, plus we have Nicola Wills from Hulu's new reality show $1 Million Nannies to discuss all the BTS drama and storylines and all these things. I'm just feeling a little bit more clear-headed today because my husband is out of town. I miss him. Don't get me wrong. I am a stage 5 clinger. I don't like to be alone. I think part of it has to do with a lot of PTSD. I was in a long distance relationship for 5 years, including a pandemic where we couldn't see each other for 18 months. Okay. So anytime my husband leaves and he leaves me behind, I do have like these feelings that come up that I don't necessarily like. However, every once in a while, you just need a good reminder of what it feels like to sleep in a bed alone, to be able to control the thermostat how you see fit. Yep. So I was really living my best life last night. Now, if my dog wasn't there, it's a whole different story. I would be crying. I actually would probably be spending the night at my parents' because I'm not spending the night alone. Not that my 25-pound Aussie Doodle would do anything to protect me. He thinks that he could, but I know, buddy. He's looking at me like, I know you're talking about me, Mom. I am big, bad, and brave. Yes, you are. Okay, sorry. I'll get carried away there. But anyways, David is in Miami. He's going to a World Cup game. I bought this USA jersey just because. Just because. I'm going next week. I told you guys going to a World Cup game next week. Look, I'm excited. It's such a first world problem. I feel so silly, like even having these thoughts, but I'm just nervous because I know I'm a very particular person in my older age, ripe age of 33. I don't like crowds plus heat. And it's going to be in a dome in Miami, 2 hours away from where we're staying. We have to get there 3 hours early to park. It's a lot, but hey, it's a World Cup experience. And you know what? If I'm going to have to buy a neck fan, I'm going to have to buy a neck fan, but we're ready for it. I'm also glad that he's getting out there to test the waters before I do. So he's going to get like the parking situation scoped out, the food, hopefully. I don't know. I don't do well under those circumstances. So he's getting a survey of the land, going to Scotland versus, I can't remember who they're playing. Sorry. So anyways, that reminds me, programming update. Next week, you're going to get the MPT episode early. I think Tuesday, maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday, but I'm actually going to take I was going to say a full week off, but you're not going to miss any episodes. Like I'm still going to have an episode next week, and then I'm going to have an episode the week after that. I'm just going to release it early so that while I'm in Florida, I can fully detach. I told David I might not even bring my computer because I'm starting to get carpal tunnel. Oh my gosh, too. I'm just getting too old for all of this. Okay, let's get into it. The top 3 biggest headlines in reality TV and pop culture of the week. Blake Lively reportedly has not been invited to Taylor Swift's wedding. There were a ton of headlines about this over the weekend because word on the street is that Taylor Swift had her bachelorette party over the weekend, as did Travis Kelce his bachelor party. And there were a lot of headlines that said Taylor Swift has extended an olive branch and inviting Blake Lively, and then something came out in Entertainment Tonight that was like, no, there is no olive branch, and fans noticed that Blake was in New York while the rest of Taylor's girl squad was headed in and out of her Rhode Island mansion. So they're like, okay, Blake Lively obviously is not at the bachelorette party either. But according to multiple sources cited by Us Weekly, Blake Lively was not invited to the upcoming wedding of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. One insider claimed Blake understands why she wouldn't be invited and that it would be a media frenzy, adding that she isn't upset about not being invited, but of course she would love to be there to support her and Travis. Obviously, this all ties back to the Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively legal saga that has recently ended, but also Taylor's involvement in it via Blake Lively. Another source said that Blake is at peace with how things played out and has put that chapter behind her. The insider further alleged that they haven't been in touch in several months, and their last correspondence was only a few casual texts back and forth, concluding that is the extent of their friendship. A separate source previously claimed the text exchange between her and Lively, used as evidence in court, was really hard for Swift, explaining it made her feel exposed and kind of violated. That doesn't sit well with her. So Blake Lively is down one dragon. She only has one left, Ryan Reynolds. And, I just feel like Taylor Swift, this is probably one of Taylor Swift's biggest struggles and maybe insecurities. I have to imagine when you are an artist like Taylor Swift, one of the biggest names in the world, trust and loyalty is like of the utmost importance to you. If you can't trust your friends, then you can't trust anybody. And I feel like if it were me, if I were in Taylor's position and Blake Lively dragged me into this mess, my friendship trust would really be broken with her. And what can you do, honestly, to repair it? I don't know. I'm not rich and famous. I don't have a penthouse in New York City. I didn't get dragged into this legal mess. But if you're Taylor, you have to keep a tight inner circle. At least that's my opinion. And if you're Blake, you have to understand that the bridge has been burned and you're the one that burned it. So it's like, she's saying she's at peace and she's putting it behind her. She isn't upset. I think she probably is a little bit not upset that they didn't invite her, upset at the situation that she has found herself in regards to her friendship with Taylor. I think anybody would be upset about that. Let's move on to headline number 2, confirmation of a summer house split between KJ and Dara. We've been hearing rumblings about this, but this week Dara actually said something. So we have it concrete. And before this, we kind of knew whether it was Jesse saying on Watch What Happens Live, yeah, I think they're broken up, or KJ talking on Threads, saying cryptic things, which we'll get into that in a second. But, just to recap, refresh your memory, before I think it was part 2 of the Summer House reunion, fans noticed that KJ had unfollowed Dara and vice versa. All pictures had been gone, all tags had been gone. But people were confused because the next day, KJ dropped a music video with Dara in it. The song was seemingly about her, talking about how essentially they wanted to get married. Well, Dara said this on her podcast this week. She said, "Do you want to know what's setting me off? Well, I'm single. That's all we're going to say about it because I can't do tears this morning, and there's no way I'm talking about it without crying." So then KJ posted this on Threads. "I'm the happiest I've been in a long time. I'm feeling like myself again." And I do just have to say this was a little bit triggering for me because I've been on the receiving end of a comment like that. You go through this really tough breakup with somebody that you thought you were going to be with forever, even though when you find the person that you're supposed to be with forever, you're like, why in the world did I think that societal pressure, makes you think that your college relationship should be the ones that you end up marrying? You shouldn't. Sometimes you can. Anyways, I've been on the receiving end of, I'm so happy. This is the best I've ever felt 2 days after you broke up. I know it's been a month at this point, but it almost is like salt in the wound. And I don't know what happened between KJ and Dara. Something happened because it was very abrupt. We were all super confused, but I don't know. Those threads sometimes to me is like, okay, what are you trying to accomplish by saying these things? I don't know if he's trying to send a subliminal message to her or whatever. But Mia also did an interview where she said KJ was doing great post-split. She also said, "I checked on Dara. I sent her a text just to let her know I'm thinking of her because breakups are difficult no matter what. But they're obviously even more difficult when you have the public eye watching your breakup. So I checked on Dara. KJ is doing well, and he's navigating the breakup as well." big question marks on what that means for this next season of Summer House. I've seen everything. So I can't sit here and tell you that Dara's going to be in, KJ's not, vice versa. They're both going to be in because I've seen oh, this is the confirmed cast, KJ and Dara. No, this is the confirmed cast, just KJ. So I don't know. For me personally, if I'm a producer, I'm looking at the story as a whole and the people want to know what happened to KJ and Dara. So have one of them be a friend of? I don't know. I also, talked about that interview last week in Variety with, I think it was Josh Brown, who's the SVP of current production at Bravo, where they said, Summer House is a different beast to all these other shows on Bravo because they have to live together. And so if two people really aren't getting along, they're not going to put them under the same roof because they really don't want that type of toxic environment for their castmates. If Lindsay and Carl can do it, KJ and Dara can do it because I need to know what happened. Headline number 3, The Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Roaring 20th Special has been announced. Bravo dropped the trailer for this Ultimate Girls Trip celebrating 20 years of The Real Housewives. It premieres on August 9th and follows 7 franchise legends: Vicki Gunvalson, Luann de Lesseps, Portia Williams, Teresa Giudice, Kyle Richards, Giselle Bryant, and Lisa Barlow on a cross-country road trip celebrating 20 years of the Housewives franchise. I knew who the cast was. We knew who the cast was. But watching this trailer made me think about, do you guys think that the cast of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City are so ticked that it was Lisa Barlow that was chosen to go on this? I mean, I think if you were to ask the fans, they would probably say Lisa, but you know how the rest of the cast feels about her. But the trailer leans heavily into nostalgia. They're throwing it back to some of the earliest memories in Housewives history, recreating iconic Housewives moments, revisiting famous locations. I peeped a Bluestone Manor cameo in there, and bringing back 82 housewives. But of course, it wouldn't be Housewives without some drama. We get hints of tension between Erica and Luann after what Kyle describes as the frostiest hello ever. Kyle is also forced to address questions about her relationship with Mauricio when Ashley Darby brings up public misconceptions because, Mauricio made a cameo on the last season of The Real Housewives of Potomac, and Ashley Darby seemed ready to pounce on him. But Kyle was like, I just want to remind you that we are still married. So there's going to be a little tension there. Meanwhile, Teresa appears to clash with Heather Gay after accusing her of being, quote, very mean to Lisa Barlow during a previous encounter. And again, that that's going to tick Heather off too. She was like, you know how it is. The trailer also teases Melissa and Teresa having a little bit of an argument. I mean, tale as old as time. And even Rosie and Kelce from The Real Housewives of Rhode Island are included. So they're really pulling out all the stops. 82 housewives. That's crazy. That's crazy. So if the trailer is any indication, the season looks like an all-star reunion tour, pretty much, unresolved grudges, nostalgia, crossovers, like you won't believe. 9 episodes. And like I said, it's going to premiere on Bravo on August 9th. All right, time for this week's deep dive, getting into Love Island USA, the Casa Amor twist that left everyone shook. And I am going to do a recap, but I really, really, really just need to get something off my chest when it comes to this show. I've really struggled this season, really struggled. And I know a lot of people have. And it's the lack of connections and exploring, but I also just feel like it's reached a new level of being degrading, to be quite honest. At what point do we call Love Island out for being degrading towards women? This Casa Amor twist that everybody loved, I get it, but did we also think about it from the new bombshell side coming in at Casa? These women have not spoken a single word to any of these guys. And the first thing that they are asked to do when they come into Casa Amor is to perform for them. And I know they are willing participants. They sign their name on the dotted line. It's not really my point. My point is that Love Island keeps telling us it's a show about developing relationships, true, genuine connections, falling in love, but they're putting more effort into the sexual spectacle than actual relationship development. And I want to say I watch these challenges, but I don't. I fast forward through all of them because they're all the same and they're all disgusting. And it's like, production, can we get a little more creative? I want more for you. Every season feels like an attempt to top the last one with raunchier challenges and more shock value. Meanwhile, the thing viewers care most about, the relationships, is getting pushed to the background because we want more viral moments. We want people being more shocked at these challenges. So if you're looking for some honest feedback as somebody who once loved the show and rode hard for it, we want love stories, not people giving lap dances before they even realize their names. The last great love story we got on Love Island USA has been Serena and Cordell. Like, you're losing the plot. And I also know that I am a grandma and am prude and whatever. It's like, it just doesn't always have to be this. I remember when the heart rate challenge was like the peak of the intimacy in the challenges. And now I just feel like that's the starting point. Like, even the very first day, they don't know each other's names and they're still just having them go to these extremes. And it's just getting weirder. I need to know, who are the people that are making these decisions behind the scenes? Have you guys been to more Diddy parties than you would like to admit? Because it's getting weird. It's getting weird. Anyways, like I said, I'm going to recap it because I know that's what you guys want, but that's just how I feel. I'm uneasy about this season, but the decision to have Casa Amor happen during the challenge and having the girls watch was diabolical, but that's what producers needed at this point because everybody was so closed off. They wanted the girls to open their eyes and to see these men for who they really are, which I would argue that they've always been that way. If they're going to act that way towards you, Kenzie, they're probably going to act that way towards Jaden. So I'm just not, I don't really understand how the girls can be surprised that they're such dogs. But anyways, the crazy part is that all the guys at Casa are initially with girls that are very similar to their original couple back at the villa, like Corbin and Jaden, Zach and Alana, Bryce and Sydney. Also, I'm just so over Corbin. The guy gives me the heebie-jeebies to no end. I wish he would have been voted off instead of Gabe, although I'm not sure that I could have handled Gabe in Casa Amor either. But the girls get 12 bombshells to choose from, and you still have Melanie and Anaya in the corner. I miss my man. He ain't your man. He's never been your man, and he's not going to be your man outside of this. Maybe Melanie and Sincere, since they've kind of already been through the trenches, but you have KC saying, me and Anaya have nothing in common. And then you have Anaya saying, I miss my man. It's crazy. Just as crazy, Anaya picking Carl? I mean, no shade against Carl. He seems like a nice guy. They bond over playing volleyball. I just remember seeing these units of men for these women to pick from, and Carl was just not who I was expecting. And I kind of feel like Anaya picked somebody. I don't want to say that she's not 100% into Carl, but she's not 100% into Carl. And I feel like she picked that so that she would go back to Casey. Jen picked Gall. And I don't the name. But anyways, seeing a lot of Gall hot takes on the internet about what is this guy doing? I have a confession. If it were me and I was in that situation, I would have also picked Gall. I know. He's my type though. Skater boy, kind of grungy looking, a little smelly looking, skater boy energy, backwards hat, flannel in the middle of Fiji in June. I'm here for it. And Jen genuinely seemed happy to speak to him for the first time in the entire show. Zach and Alana, Allegedly, another rogue Snapchat video of Alana singing a song that has the N word. So people were suspecting that she was going to get pulled from the show. She was still on Tuesday's episode, but not featured. I feel like she might eventually get removed, but I also feel like production is really banking on Zach bringing Alana back to, really cause a stir between him and Kata. But I don't know. The precedent has been set. So I feel like they, if it is Anaya, I haven't really seen the video, to be honest with you. I've just seen people talking about it. But if it is Alana, they have to remove her. That's the precedent they set. And then Che and Kata, I also don't think she's going to bring him back just based on all of the interactions. She's not really, I want to say she's not giving into the process. I don't think that's because she won't kiss him. I actually respect for once, she's like, no, I'm not going to kiss you. And I'm not just talking about her. I'm talking about them in general. Anaya doesn't do that either. But I just feel like their conversations, she's not as into it as she is with Zach. Sincere and Melanie, I actually think will survive Casa. I don't think Sincere seems into his girl Amora at all. And I think Melanie is like faking it until she makes it. Casey's going all out with TT, the nanny, whose whole butt was out immediately during the challenge on Tuesday with absolutely no shame. But he also showed interest in Sydney. And I think he got a little scared with TT because of her response to him saying, hey, I think tonight I want to see what's going on with Sydney. He might be getting Anaya PTSD. She had she wasn't happy, right? She was like, oh, I know what I want. It's you. It's whatever. And I feel like he kind of was like, oh, I don't know about that. But they are hot and heavy right off the gate. And Casey's like, oh, well, she's giving me stuff that Anaya wouldn't. Again, like, God forbid a girl has morals and standards and takes things slow. But anyways, Anaya's chilling with Carl to pass the time because she misses her man. Trinity and Bryce, winners. I've been seeing that take a lot, but it's like they're the only two that are in Casa that both are like, it's not Trinity, it's not Bryce. The slow burns are always the ones that are going to surprise you on this show. I never like to see baby girl Bryce upset. And I was worried at first, because Trinity did kiss, was it Corey, the guy that... But he's now talking to Melanie. But Trinity's crying too, saying, it's not Bryce. I really like him. So we have one love story to really look for. I don't know. I'm just not that into it, to be completely honest with you. All right, now for something fun, an interview with Nicola Wills from $1 Million Nannies, which is Hulu's latest reality show from the creators of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. It's a fun watch. I think it's 8 episodes if you guys want to check it out. I'll read the log line to you in case you're like totally clueless about what it is, but it says $1 Million Nannies follows a group of young elite nannies who travel to Ibiza to launch a new kind of agency catering to the world's 1%. Nicola is the world's 1%. She was looking for a nanny this season. Super excited to have her on MPT today. So I hope you guys enjoy the interview with Nicola Wills. Congratulations. #1 show on Hulu right now.
I know, in America and in Australia.
For those who haven't watched the show yet, tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, the life that you have built for your family.
Yeah. So for those that haven't seen it yet, you need to see it. My name is Nicola Wills. I am a single mummy and I live in London, born and bred here in the UK. My actual background, I'm a trained musical theatre performer. That's like what I am at the core of who I am. But if anybody knows like that theatre world, a theatre kid, you can't even like rent half a room in London in the dodgy part. And so when I hit 30, I remember thinking like, I have danced for like Katy Perry. I danced for Pink. I had an amazing career in my 20s. And I saw how the other half lived. Like I'd seen behind the curtain of the glamorous, fabulous life. And I wanted some of that for myself. But I was like hell-bent, like I'm not going to marry a rich guy for that. Like I want to get that myself. Like I'm hardworking, I'm savvy. So that's what I did. So I started an online business and I reached the top within 2.5 years. And honestly, that has been the most life-changing thing I've ever done throughout my 30s. I became a mom, a fully present mom, and then I moved my family to Ibiza when it was all gorgeous and rosy in the household. And then eventually what happened is the relationship broke down. I became a single mom, and because of my business, I was able to move back to the UK. I left, and the journey, the diva that you see today was created, if I'm completely honest. Like, I think, people will say, oh no, if you have money, it solves everything. And yes, it is. It's a lot easier to heal when you know that everything's paid for. But the emotional turmoil of like feeling like you've lost everything when you're 40, like it just makes me choke just thinking about it. And that's not what I envisioned for my life. And so, yeah, I was a broken woman. And when the show came, I was like, oh, what, me? And a little bit of that like theatre girl was like, what, you want me on telly? That thing. And you're like, well, I'm 42. Anyway, all the kind of things happened, and it was the best thing I've ever done, though, to be completely honest, because it was in Ibiza, and Ibiza is my most favorite place in the whole world. It is just the sexiest island. Like, if you live in Europe, like, it's 2 hours from my home. I used to live there for 2.5 years. I land in Ibiza, and it's like this sexual goddess just like erupts out of me. Like, the businesswoman is left at home, and this like diva arrives on the island. So when they were like, it's in Ibiza, I was at Noble already. Like, I stay at Noble all the time in the presidential suite at Noble. And they're like, you can have help. I was like, bring it on. Bring it on.
One thing that really stood out to me about you in particular when it comes to your two girls, who are adorable, by the way, which
Thank
was
you.
how intentional you are about building confidence in them young. What are some of the values that you are trying to instill with them, and why is it important for you to teach them that at this early age?
Oh, I am intentional about absolutely everything with them. Like, I had an amazing upbringing, but I was just kind of like, there was no like mentoring or guidance. Like, my mom is amazing, but there was no like, this is this. It was just a different era, right? And so I have had to unlearn so many things and heal so many things and completely transform my mindset as a grown woman to have any success, right? Believe in myself and have confidence. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start them young, and I'm going to pour into them what I know now, so that then when they're grown up, they have the self-belief, they have the self-confidence, they have the gratitude, they know who they are. And it's not like a mumbo jumbo of like going through terrible men or getting drunk too much, and just like, of course I want them to figure it out, but figure it out with a real sense of worth and sense of like true love and who they are. Because I didn't really get that until, honestly, like mid to late 30s, 40s, and I go, damn, if they're gonna wait that long, like, especially with being a woman in the world, like, it's not an easy feat. And I believe that self-confidence and self-worth, if you can have that going into the world, anything is possible. Absolutely anything. Like, in my 20s, I was an amazing performer. But what took me out of the game, and I believe didn't help me get all the way that I could have done, is because I was nervous. I was, she's prettier, she's taller, she's richer, she's more successful. So then I kind of allowed all the noise around me to dim my light. And I believe that I didn't become all I could have been because of that. Whereas the awareness of that now is like, how dare I not teach my little girls what I know? I do co-parent, so I think that's really important to know. Like, I don't have my children full time. I wish I did. So, what happens here, I'm sure, is very different to what happens there. But
And I'm sure, that relationship took some time as well. What has that journey been like, and what are you most proud of as a parent now?
People say to me, oh, you're so lucky, Nicola. You're parenting. You have all this time to yourself. I understand where it's coming from, right? First of all. But I had children because I wanted to be a mom and I want to be with them all the day, like every single second, and breathe them in. So that in itself is just heartbreaking. The loneliness, it's like gut wrenching when I know that they're not with me, and then I see other families around, and I'm on my own, and it's really, really, really hard. And me and Ed, we don't have, there's no communication again, which is really hard. But I've got to an amazing place with that now. It's like anything, right? It takes time. And, I just have to sit in gratitude for the man that he is, because I feel, when they are with him, they're safe, they're loved, and they're really looked after. And I know not a lot of single moms have that. They don't have that. And my little girls are amazing. So as much as I have the input, he does as well. So I have to be grateful for him in that sense.
I want to get into the show a little bit.
Yeah.
You were looking for a nanny. What qualities are most important to you when you're on the search?
Yeah. So for me, and first of all, that they are healthy. Like, they have to understand like a healthy lifestyle, not only with food, but also mindset and looking after themselves. Like, I don't want someone who is like, oh, that noise is just so irritating, isn't it? How are you today? Oh, like that kind of like heavy energy, I am just not here for at all. Um, they have to be positive. Like, I want them to be always on the glasses half full mindset. That's just so important to me, because language, like when we speak, it is spells coming out of our mouth, literally. And so when I'm not with them, I want the same type of language to be used with my children. Fun. Honestly, they just got to be really fun. Like, I'm not the one. That's why you see in the show. Like, I'm not in the pool, getting the weave wet, getting my face off. Like, I'm just not that mom. Like, I wish I was. I wish I was the dive in, like, oh, but I just don't like it. So it's just really good for me to have that type of nanny, the all in. Like, Taylor was dressed as a Disney princess in the water with the girls. Like, like that is exactly what I want, to be all out, getting involved. Because that's kind of the part that I'm not, and that's the part that their dad was. So it's really like filling that part for me. Also honesty. That's like my number one value. Like, you mess up or something bad happened today, or just anything, just be honest. Like, just talk through. And like open communication. Like, talk to me consistently throughout the day. Like, send me pictures. I want to know, like, I want to see everything. I have to be the boss. I want them to know that I am the mama. And, like, you'll see with Taylor, I'm really friendly. Like, that's my natural, like, I'm like friendly to everyone. But there's a line. And like, people can really like take that line and boundary from me and be like, oh, yay, we're best friends. And it's like, honey, this is it. The same with guys, actually. They're like, oh, she fancies me. It's like, no, darling, I'm just friendly. I'm just a friendly person. I don't fancy you. And it's the same with nannies. So, they can't become part of the family. So that obviously happens, but I don't want to be told what to do with my children. Yeah.
We saw you get very upset with Taylor rather quickly for leaving your two girls with a different nanny that she knew but you did not know, to go down and talk to her boyfriend. Watching that scene back, I know you lived it in real time, but what was your takeaway when you watched it?
Well, obviously, I knew what was coming, and I knew what was coming for the whole scene, right? So there was part of me that was like, I shouldn't have taken her back, because what she did is the worst of the worst. And it wasn't like it was just a few weeks in. That happened on the first day. I hired her that day. I'd just gone out, like I had a little secret date. I was planning, and I don't tell my children. And she knew that. She knew that I had this secret date. And so her being there with my girls was everything, because that gave me the confidence and the security to be able to go. So I literally would I'll just pop down and check on them before I go. That was where I was at. So then it ruined everything. Everything was cancelled. The date was cancelled. My whole kind of trip was really, really affected by that, if I'm completely honest. So I watched that, and I'm actually quite proud of myself that I didn't get even worse. Like I'm super kind and super nice, but if you cross me, bitch, like, nah. And I saw red. Like they didn't. I was stamping like round. There's a big walk from where we were to the beach, and I was like, "Ah," and I could feel myself like, like bubbling up, and I was like, like a dragon.
How did you
Um,
find out that she had left?
So what happened is around the pool at Nobu, there is the sunbed. And over on that sunbed, you can see over to the beach, right? So I went down just to say goodbye to the girls. Hey, now see you later, having a nice time. And then obviously she was with the other nanny. And when I saw, I was like, where's Taylor? And they're like, oh, she's over at the beach. And from where I was stood round the bed, I could see them over at the beach. And the thing for me, the thing that annoyed me the most is that I could see that she was with her boyfriend.
Right.
And you just like, come on. And like, this is my pet peeve with all women. It's just like, girls, like, she is risking her job. But not only that, like, the potential life-changing career that she could have, like traveling with me and my family, for some guy. And I know it's her boyfriend, but have some control over yourself. Oh my God, he's there. He's with another girl. Oh, and it's just like such low vibe behavior. So, but like I said before, I've been there. So that for me is why I came full circle, because in my 20s, I was that girl. Like I was Taylor, like, oh, does he like me? Hi, I'm here. Please notice me. Like the pick me girl. And so it's irritating. It's irritating more than anything. So, when I heard her out and like I heard her really, we spoke for hours, I understood that it was an emotional mistake rather than that's who she is.
Yeah. How do you separate, seeing yourself in someone and being like, well, they just made like one of the biggest mistakes that you can possibly make? I'm sure that has to be an internal conflict that you're having with yourself in real time. And how do you
Yeah.
like detach from those humanistic emotions?
Yeah, 100%. Listen, if my children, well, it was Margot. So Margot was literally who you see on the show, like bawling her eyes, Mommy, please have Taylor back. Please have Taylor back. We love her. We love her. If I didn't have that, if Margot hadn't been so adamant to have her back, then I wouldn't have taken her back. I really wouldn't have. But I listened to my children, and also Margot, who is the youngest. She is what they call, like, she's just so clingy. She is so, I'm like like her only person in the world. Like, I found it very, very hard to leave her. And so the fact that she was obsessed with Taylor, that kind of magic is really hard to find. So you're like balancing out. One way you're like, oh, I'm so angry. One minute you're like, oh, you're so wonderful. Oh, it is really hard. And if you see in the show, like I do say, Margot, what do you think? And she said, yeah, let's have it back. And so ultimately it was my children's decision.
Was Taylor able to rebuild her trust with you?
Yeah. Yeah. So what happened is we had such a long, deep, deep conversation, and we were opening up about, I guess why, like her family issues and the relationship that she has or doesn't necessarily have with her parents, that just like that deep longing, which I still feel so many of us can relate to, of wanting to be noticed and loved. And I had that exact same childhood experience with my dad. And throughout my 20s, the kind of men that I chose, honestly, it was just terrible. But it was because I was just wanting to be seen and validated and like, oh, you're wonderful. And I wish I was not like that, but that's who I was in my 20s, even in my 30s, and the same. And Taylor is that, and Taylor was that. So there is opportunity for growth, right? And that's exactly what I saw when we had that conversation. She told me that, and I was like, just listening to you, it's like listening to me, listening to myself. And until you have awareness around these things, like you don't even know it's going on. So then I was able to go, do you know what? This happened to me and this is what happened. And she was like, oh, and I think in that moment we so connected. And I really said to her, and I was very firm. I was like, one more cup and you are gone. But on the other side of this, if you stick with me, I have got your back. I will teach you, I will mentor you, I will guide you into becoming a strong, confident, powerful woman with or without a man. Like having a boyfriend, having a man does not define you.
How is your relationship with her now?
Now it's amazing. We're really, really good friends. We speak all the time. We're going to be traveling again. And she's going to be there. She actually came, her and Mitchell came and spent Halloween with us in London last year. And we had such an amazing time. They are, do you know what? As well as Taylor, Mitchell is incredible. Did you like him on the show?
Yes, I was going to ask you your perspective on their relationship, knowing both of them personally.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's this is the way I see it. You either get together as a couple and you grow as a couple. And I've seen that time and time again. Or you do your own thing. And then when you're both kind of having success, then you meet. But one can't be like more successful than the other and trying to drag the other person up. And I think really for where Taylor and Mitchell are, they're both at the kind of the beginning of their journey of like wanting what they want at the beginning, and they're willing to grow together. And I think that's really beautiful. And what I love about Mitchell is he's got no ego. He has no ego whatsoever. And, like, he was a virgin before he met Taylor. Like, how special is that? And he also has a disabled sister. And I used to have a disabled brother. His name was Graham. And I think when you are a sibling of someone with disabilities, it gives you a different perspective on life. Like that's the 100% why I'm so driven and so ambitious, and I want the world, and I'm a go-getter. It's because I saw my brother didn't have those opportunities. He couldn't walk, he couldn't talk, he was in a wheelchair. He didn't have the opportunity to live life to the fullest. And so I have consciously made really great decisions in my life so that I could, right? And the same with Mitchell. And that's why he's like, you know what? When you have that, I actually just want to meet a girl and be with that one person. And I don't want to drink because you just feel like it's you coming from a different perspective. And so for that sense, I think Mitchell's an amazing man. I really, really do. And I know that he's really been supporting her on her healing and growing journey to become like the woman that she knows that she can be. And again, like that's just so special.
I do want to get into the Leah conversation.
Yes.
We learned this season that Leah broke the cardinal rule in hooking up with a nanny dad. What was your initial reaction when you heard that?
You know what my initial reaction was like, oh, it's so typical. Like, it's just so typical, and not really on Leah's behalf, because, that happens, but also for men, like, come on, men, do better. It's, oh, Leah's so bad. Actually, it's the man. He is there with a gorgeous young nanny who's like, yes, sir, no, sir, anything I can do, sir. And he's already got a fabulous wife who's off doing the things. And he's like, oh, I just feel so validated by this young girl. And so that I'm going to take advantage of her. And so, you see it with like the Jude Law, Sienna Miller. And like, it's just, so of course, like that was my first reaction. I was like, oh, such a typical boring story. Because it just happens all the time. And it's very rarely, from my experience, from my friends that have had nannies, and when that happens, it is very rarely the nanny that initiates it. Because the nanny, like for most nannies, like is their full-time job, that is their life. If they lose that job, they can lose their house. They've got so much risk in it. But it's the man that's like, ugh, sick. Yeah. But as far as nannying goes and like the world that I'm in, that it's the worst thing that you can do. Like everybody, obviously we then went to find out that it was with a single dad and she knew him, which does slightly change the story, but she was being paid at that moment in the time that it happened. And that's where the boundary, it's like, just go home, then go on a date with him on another day. And then it's a completely different story. But yeah, I mean, if I had a husband and I had a hot nanny around, all of my friends who have husbands, they always, it's like, if she's hot, that she's not even being hired, no matter how good she is. It's like temptation. I was shocked, really, because like Leah is like, for the Kardashians, like she is a nanny for the Kardashians, right? So for Kourtney, and, just think if Kourtney knew that, like, imagine she's in the house and then with Travis or Scott, whoever that might be. Yeah. So there was lots of speculation that it was one of those. And we're like, oh God, no, come on.
Do you agree with the other nanny's decision to give somebody else a chance to head up the agency? Is it really, knowing everything that we know now, it was her friend, and I know there's like layers to the situation, but do you think that she got the bad end of the stick, or do you think that she deserved to kind of take a back seat in that role?
As always, what happens is women get punished the most. So actually, it really annoyed me that it was like, oh no, I'll take over. It's like, come on, actually support your girl. She has got you here. She's brought you here. She is your leader. She is the one that's done everything. And the second that there was an opportunity for you to be like top dog, you were in. So I think that was wrong. I really do. I think it was not cool. I actually messaged Leah. I was like, babe, let me come in and I'll partner with you. I'll be a business partner.
There you go.
Because I was like, I can really like elevate where you're at. I'm old. I've got the business experience. I've got the clients. I can really see what she's trying to do. But when you're in your 20s and you're running a business, but you're also single and you want to have fun, it is hard to juggle everything. And they are all friends. So it's almost like they need like a different perspective of like a mama bear going, duh, 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 just to keep them all in check. So yeah, I would love that.
A bit of a random question. We're going to shift gears. I want to, and I you might not be able to answer it because it's about the NDAs, but I'm really curious,
Okay.
like, what is in those NDAs and why is it so important for you to have them?
So what it does, it just protects, like I might have some funny things that I do, rituals. I might speak to my girls in a certain way. I might be sleeping with 6 different men. Woo! Who knows? Who knows? But the only person that does know is my nanny. She knows everything. Absolutely everything. And what can happen with an NDA? Like, without that in place, you think, oh, she wouldn't tell someone. But it only takes, if I have some massive thing going on in my house and it's quite shocking, right? She'll go home to her friends and be like, oh my gosh, you never guess what happened. There was Tom at the door and then there was David at the door and whatever it might be, right? And that one person can tell that one person and it's gone. That could be the Daily Mail. That could be just, it's never really malicious when anything comes out. It's just a little mistake, but that little mistake can be catastrophic to families like mine. And especially if you're in the public eye and, you're a huge celebrity, it's like, yeah. So it is vital to have everything on lockdown.
I want to know, filming a reality show while raising kids also has to be extremely difficult. How did you decide what parts of your family life you were comfortable showing and what parts you weren't comfortable showing?
Yeah. So do you know what? I sat down with my girls because I feel like they're old enough now to understand. And I sat down and I said, look, girls, like, this is what's going to happen. What do you think? And they've never done anything like that before. Like, we do like our TikToks and we do our Instagrams. But they were like, oh, yes, mummy. Does it mean that we don't have to go to school anymore? I was like, oh, no, no, no. And I really like sat down and spoke with them about it. And they were just so excited more than anything. I was a little bit concerned that when the camera started rolling, because it was such a huge, we were in our presidential suite at Nobu. And then all of a sudden, literally like 30 people are there with huge cameras and lighting and the enormity of it. You're like, oh. And as an adult, I was a bit like, oh gosh, like relax. I just needed a spicy margarita. And then for my children, I thought, oh God, because they're going to say go roll. What are they going to do? It's not just me. I've got to really like think about them. They were like owning it. They roll and they were like, and I was the one. I was like, hello. So honestly, it was just, I just allowed them to be free. And just like I share so much online already. I would be a bit of a hypocrite if I was like, oh, you can't do this and you can't do that, because I've already for the last 10 years, I've shared my life online. So I was pretty free, like with that, and they were just up for it. And then everyone, mummy, when's season 2? When can they come with us to our next holiday? I was like, So, it's great. They love it.
Well, I'm sure this is a unique and new experience for you, but after it's all said and done, you went through the filming and you've watched it back. What's like the biggest lesson that you have taken away from it?
My biggest lesson is that it's cool to be kind. It's really cool to be kind. I have been told a few times, Nicola, you're too nice. Oh, you're too friendly. You're too nice. And I watched myself back and I was like, I know where my boundaries are. Don't push me. Otherwise, like, it's a no. But actually, being kind and listening and leading with empathy and being a really good human is actually a really, really great thing. Like, I was really proud of like me and my family on the show.
Well, Nicola, thank you so much for popping into MPT this week. Can you tell my listeners where they can find you, where they can listen to your podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram at Nicola_Wills. My podcast is Inspire with Nicola on all of the platforms. And the first episode actually of season 3 is going to be dropping in July. So watch this space. And then I'm also on TikTok at Nicola_Wills_official.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of MPT. If you haven't left a review, a little 5-star boop boop, a little love you like a sis, please do so. It helps the pod tremendously. Next week, we're going to have Genevieve from Survivor 50 on the pod, so make sure you're subscribed, whether it's on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. If you want more content, Bravo news, Bachelor news, Long Island USA news, make sure you check out the Patreon. You get a bonus episode every single week. You also get MPT a day early and ad-free. The link is in the show notes below. If not, I'll see you next Tuesday. And as always, love you like a sis.